Hey guys, Jeff with Maker's Niche here. Came across this model of Superman the other day on Thingiverse and kind of reminded me of that scene in the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League where Superman is holding Batman's cowl over the rubble of the Justice League building. And I thought, let's do some 3D model kit bashing and try to recreate that. So I found this cowl and looks very similar to Batman's in that movie. So I need to make some space here for where I'm going to place this. I'm going to go up into Superman's hand. Just reposition it and look like semi-like he's grabbing a hold of it as best I can. And it looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and print it. It came out pretty good on my resin printer. So let's get on to the base. Just grabbed a bunch of different models that I found online and just kind of just piecing them together to suit whatever I can make up here to look like it was a building at one time and is now just a crater in the earth. A wall and some piping, steel door, some more piping in the ground, and some more steel pieces. Everything's scaled good, looks pretty good, so we'll print it too. Again, came out pretty good. So after I got all these printed, I went ahead and taped off the Superman body so I could spray on the red, and came out pretty good. So we'll move on and change the taping so I can get the blue on. Also love these colors, really pop. Next I move on to the gold that's on Superman's suit. It's around the S or behind the S and on the belt as well. Now moving on to the red on the S. I like the way this came out, pretty good. So I have these paint pens set, and I noticed these lines are on Superman's suit in this light color, so I put those on there. A little bright. I'll tone that down with some washes later. So move on to all the skin tones. Get 2 or 3 coats of this skin color everywhere. So that came out pretty well. Next we'll move on to toning the skin to make it a little more realistic. Also I went ahead and painted the Batman's cowl black while I had it there. So my first wash on the skin is going to be this mustardy yellow color, and it's just to tint the skin. The next wash is a red wash, and this tint will kind of simulate blood underneath the skin, imperfections. And blue will give some shading. Wash everywhere there's skin tone with those 3 washes. I'm going on to his hair here, just a brown with some black in it. Do thick on top and in the back, but when it comes to the sides, I've painted over the hair modeling part with a little bit of the skin tone paint so that I can kind of feather in the hair so it actually looks like a hairline. You can still see the skin through it, but on top and backwards, pretty thick is all colored in. It's really important at the sides around the ears and along the neckline that you do this feathering, as you can see here, just drawing it down. And can't forget the eyebrows. Next, I'm going to do this dark wash, which I'll do with the lips, around the nose line, the cheek lines, around the ears, uh, muscles in the neck, creases in the hands and fingertips, just to darken it in and make it look a little more believable. It's just not one toned color. Adding texture and believability. And I wanted to make this Superman right in the beginning stages of his heat vision. So doing this red around the eye sockets, and we'll do some veining away from the eyes as well. And then I'll come in later with some lighter colors, yellows and oranges, and finally a white to simulate what you see in the movie, how his heat vision looks through his skin. Pretty happy with how that came out. Skin looks good, eyes look good, real menacing. So I'm going to move on to some washes, some dark washes. This is just a black wash, and I'm really just going to try to get in the low points around his muscles, armpits, around arms and his leg muscles, just pretty much everywhere that we would have some shadows. And I'll make 3 or 4 passes here with a black wash and just wipe it off and go again until I am happy with the results. At this stage I'll tone down that really bluish blue lines on his suit, make those a little more muted. And so pretty happy with how it's come out here so far. You can see his muscles popping out now from the low points with the shadows. I do a little bit of dry brushing to hit the high points, but move on to the back, and I want to this dark wash in the folds and creases of his cape, so the folds and highlights can really pop out here. So with that done, we'll move on to the base, and just this sandy brown color. I'm just going to pretty much paint most of the bottom of the model with that, and then we'll move on to this orangey color on top. Just start putting some layers in to make it look a little more like dirt or sand or however it's going to be. Kind of apologize here, I skipped recording. I've painted in some patches of grass in the back and then some of these rocks, and I've already dark washed some of the sand dirt area. So now I'm just going to move on to the brick wall, and I've decided to do it like an exterior brick wall, is a reddish brown color. And in this I've came in and I've highlighted the rocks with a little bit of a light gray dry brushing, and it gives these striations on the paint to make it a little more believable that it's actual rock there, not a 3D model printed. So now I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing on the sandy dirt areas, highlighting with this yellow just to make those pop out. You really just want to hit the highest points here, just where light would be hitting on high points and shadows down in the low points. So now we'll move on to this metallic silver color on all of the metal. Just going to put it on as a base here, and then I'll come back with some passes to make it rusted looking, like the building's been down for a while. So I picked up this wash. I usually mix my washes, but this one I found at the hobby store, and it's a base color for a rust to start a rust. Really nice color to it and texture. So what I'm going to do here is everywhere there's a crack or a break or a bolt, anything that would start oxidization, which is what rust is on metal in real life, I kind of tried to mimic those locations with this wash. Now I'll come back on the same pieces where the wash was and come through with this yellow and start working my way into the center of where the rust spots would be. It's not really a wash with this yellow, it's just thinned out. Now I'm coming back with the centermost pieces of the rusted areas with this reddish color. And again, it's the same consistency as the yellow. It's not really a wash, but it's not really a paint. It's just thinned out. Just want to hit the high points of all the bolts and the high points along the edges of the cuts and breaks in the steel. So now I'm going to move into the crater itself with this brown wash. Just get it really down into all the crevices. Make sure everything is shadowed in so it can be displayed and pop out when it's finished. But just want to get every little crevice down in here with this wash, and then I'll come back on this one. We'll come back with a sponge and try to hit the high points to get all the wash off, with leaving it as much as possible down in the low points. I'm going to come back in and just get it along the edges everywhere where I really want it to be dark. Just leave that in there and not wipe it out. So I'm going to come in with this eggshell color and just give a dry brushing highlighting pass on some of these pieces, mainly the rocks. Just the highest edge point of the rocks, so they really pop out of where their separations are and their edges are. Also come through and hit some highlighting points in other areas as well, but this is mainly for just to finish up, make the separation of the objects really noticeable. Again, I'm just hitting the highlights of these things, just the uppermost edges. Places I really want to pop out. Love the way these rocks finished up. They look really nice. Rust came out good. I'm going to run this dry brushing through the crater just to try to hit the very most highest points. And dry brushing is, if you're not familiar with it, it's just a very little bit of paint on the brush and it's wiped off and then kind of just very lightly brushed on, so you're just getting the top pieces that the bristles can even touch. Now I'm on to the part I've been dreading of this build, is connecting the two models together. I really want to give this hovering, floating feel here, but also without showing any kind of apparatus that's creating it. So I thought I might put a pin through the cape and through the top of the wall to make the connection. Also thought about maybe running a rod out of the base and up into the back of the model, but again, you would see that. So I think the best way to go with this is the pin through the cape and into the wall. So I got my drill out, popping some holes here. Make another one in the wall. Okay, I'm going to take a pin that is the same distance into the cape that matches the distance into the wall and should carry the Superman very nicely. And with that, this build is done. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'd really appreciate it if you would hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit the notification as well so you'll be alerted when I upload new videos. That's all for this one. I'll see you in the next one.